Now, next Wednesday, the second major storm over alleged racism on the football field will be back in the headlines when England captain John Terry appears in court. So, does racism still exist in the game, and what are the Welsh perspectives? Graham Thomas reports.
This is the Professional Footballers Association in Manchester, and this is their members' diary, complete with Gareth Bale on the cover. If you look inside here, then you'll find the people who run this organisation provide a picture of racial integration and racial harmony. Unfortunately, though, it's not a picture currently being reflected out on the pitch.
The referee is blown. Well, he wants a word here with Ebra and Suarez.
For some, the race issue exploded last month when Luis Suarez was found guilty of racial abuse and banned. For others, it's never gone away.
When I was playing, it would not have been talked about. So the fact the FA have taken their stance and Suarez had his ban, and you've got John Terry thing that's ongoing at the moment, it's brought it back to the fore. And the fact that the FA have actually made the stance and said, right, racial, 8 games, that's a fantastic message that's being sent out to everybody in the game to know that racism is not acceptable.
George Berry was the first black player to play for Wales. It was the 1970s. It was a different planet.
I was playing as a youngster, got in the first team, pre-match meal, and at the time all the Cockney rhyming slang was happening, and obviously the Cockney rhyming slang for chips was jockeys' whips, and at this particular pre-match meal, one of the players decided to call them niggers' lips rather than jockeys' whips. Everybody thought it was funny apart from me. So there was a big row, and it was a case of, at that moment, I had the choice of either swallow it or stand up and say, actually, that isn't acceptable.
The racial element, I don't think people quite understand, you know, the nerve that touches because of the history that's supported.
Nathan Blake has told Sport Wales that after his well-documented racist allegations in 1998 that were always denied, he received a racist death threat through the post.
The situation with my international manager had come to a head. I'd obviously made complaints and what have you and pulled out of the squads. And I had received like a parcel, and inside the parcel were some nuts and stuff like that, some abusive, you know, writing on the front of the box. Then inside was like a picture of Jill Dando with like a gun and a bullet to her head, and then underneath was like, "You're next." And the club, the club captain at the time wanted me to take that to the police and what have you. But you know, you just tend to just fold it away, chuck it away, and just move on.
Next week, John Terry appears in court, accused of using racist language, a charge he denies.
Things have to be proven first. If they're proven guilty, then that's when things, you know, people should be nailed for it.
If he was to be found guilty, does he have any future as England captain, as far as you're concerned?
Well, can he? You know, can he be England captain then? If he's found guilty with racist comments, that goes past football. That's the same as saying it in the street. He's a good footballer and everything, but there's a line where it can't be crossed.
The racism that I experienced was horrific, because you know what I thought it was?
This is Christian Roberts, former Cardiff City player, spreading the anti-racist message for the organisation Show Racism the Red Card. And this is former West Ham and Fulham striker Leroy Rossinier, who was once manager of Merthyr, campaigning at a school in Barry.
There's only one thing in this world that we can control as individuals, and that's what comes out of our mouth, you know, and it's very important that we educate ourselves on what is acceptable.
Rossinier is a rare bird, one of the tiny handful of black players who've managed in the Football League, in his case at Torquay.
I was desperate to become a manager, and I wanted to, I suppose, be out there leading the way. I managed to do that. But then I spoke to coach and I thought, well, there's only you and there's only another one. Why would I go into an industry where I've got a minimal chance of getting a job?
A new report for UEFA, co-authored by Stephen Bradbury, says that while 30% of UK pro players are from ethnic minorities, the figure for all jobs in football, managers, physios, groundsmen, office staff, is less than 1%.
One of the problems, I think, is that there's a lack of recognition that issues of institutional discrimination exist in the first place. And even where they are recognised, even where clubs have got over this lack of problem awareness, there is sometimes an unwillingness or a lack of commitment to open up those structures. Why would you want to open up those structures if you're enjoying the power and the merits and the rewards that they bring? So yes, I think clubs and governance and league associations certainly need to do a great deal more to be more representative of the football family, if you like.
I think racism is still there because it's always going to be there. It's in society, therefore it's going to be on the football pitch. In 5 years' time, I'd like to think that we would not have it. The reality is, I would suspect we will have it. The argument is how it's dealt with and what procedures are put in place to make sure that if it does rear its ugly head, that it's stamped on. That's the most important thing.